Everybody, and welcome back to Sessions Canceled podcast. I didn't think of an intro bit before doing this, so Sessions Canceled.
You ruined the
gimmick. I'm gonna be carted off to a guillotine, and that's why Sessions Canceled.
Ruined the gimmick, anyways. Or just gave it a new life.
My sadness is so fucking maximum right now.
You could have made so many.
Listen, if you guys don't see me for like 2 or 3 weeks, it's because these three are working on a way to resurrect me. They did not have a diamond ready to use Revivify, so
Yeah, so to find a more expensive diamond deeper underground.
Yeah, look, as long as you're not fucked for 10 days, right, then we got raised dead, so we have a backup.
Yeah, it's fine. So with me today is Matt.
Hi.
He's sick, so
And
wow, way to oust him.
Did you not hear the way he said hi?
I don't think that was sickness. I think that was just Matt's exasperation at life.
I'm tired of being sick.
He said, don't you see how? And my brain immediately went to, look at you. You're clearly a skater.
What?
It's a stupid video. I'll send it to you later.
Okay.
Isaiah.
Brett, put the audio in.
No.
Hey, what's up?
And Josh.
Take me to your leader.
No.
Take me to your leader.
No, I don't think I will.
I serve the grace.
Anyways.
No repto.
What?
No repto.
No repto.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
He heard this joke
What'd
once,
you say?
and he's kept it because he doesn't want Brett to assume things.
Yeah. No repto.
Are you saying reptar?
No repto.
No,
All right,
it's
Matt.
not.
It's too. I can't. I will explain it to you
so
later because there's way too much context.
Alrighty.
Basically, he's saying he's not a scaly. Anyways,
That's not what I'm saying. Oh, forget it.
Like a liar, but it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck off. We have devolved heavily.
Yeah.
when haven't we?
I don't know. This feels different.
It's
Remember
the
when
end
our
of the year,
episodes-
baby.
Remember when our episodes had a clear goal?
What's a goal?
we were
right.
zeroed in episode 1 through 1.
I don't even think we were.
We were
I think
not
we were
at all.
zeroed in on episode 0, and that was it.
I wasn't even there for that one.
Yeah.
True.
Sag. All right, Sam, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about pets.
Pets?
We're talking about pets. The ones that you find out in the wilderness and you raise and.
I got my cat right now on my lap. Does that count?
No.
Oh.
I mean, it can.
I'm talking about when you have a little companion. Pet does not necessarily indicate a wild animal. It could be something like a homunculus in terms of artificer.
My son?
Yes, your son, your child, your baby boy.
My baby boy, good old Mark 7.
Or it could literally just be a wild animal. It doesn't have to be anything necessarily specific. It's basically just something that you.
Or the party goblin.
The party goblin. I mean,
Amounts.
The party goblin who's been forcibly adopted at gunpoint.
Hey, listen, we adopted Droop into the gang, and he has been my son. I want to hear no insult about him.
What?
And Storm King's Thunder.
I knew what he was
my
talking
lizard,
about.
my lizard wizard adopted a goblin as his apprentice, and he's been my son ever since.
Oh. Okay then.
Yeah.
Okay, I just feel like I gotta put on the table. I gotta, Matt. I feel like this is this might be the intervention in the secret intervention me and Sam been talking about you just kidnapping every tiny creature you can find in the woods.
I don't do that in all games. It's only Conan. Conan makes it so much fun to steal animals and babies.
Matt, you literally just said you stole a goblin and forcibly made it your child.
First of all, he wasn't a baby. He was an elder. So you can't say anything but.
Oh no.
I kidnapped him from his kidnappers. So that makes me the hero.
Matt, one kidnapping does not cancel out another kidnapping.
I don't know. 2 lefts make a right.
No, it's actually 3 lefts.
Mm-hmm. But I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Yes, you have.
Oops.
Can someone stop this, man?
No. Matt, if you make 2 lefts, you just go 180 degrees. You've turned around.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah,
that's not right.
That's good. It's close enough. Right-ish.
Someone stop him. Someone stop him right now before I kill him.
Stop going left or right. You're just going back from where you came.
I don't know why, but that was really hard for me to envision taking the 2 lefts in my brain and what Sam meant. But I caught up now.
You made a U-turn.
Yeah, no, I realize that.
Make a U-turn.
Well, no,
you made a U-turn, but it's like a square-shaped U-turn as opposed to a roundy U-turn.
Yeah, it's like playing Snake.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm real glad that we got to Matt's fucking psychological problem of stealing things.
Just committing theft.
Mainly
Is it a
small animals.
Is it a problem or a choice?
Find out next.
Yeah, it's both.
Both? Yeah, both.
It's a problem he's perpetuating by making the choice to continue doing it rather than try to stop.
Listen, if they didn't make it so fun, I wouldn't do it.
I don't know how. Matt, you literally just run up to it and hit E. How is that fun?
Because like you get to watch the befuddled like giant turtle or hyena watches like take their kid and they can't do anything about it.
Matt, that is fucked up.
Because their small computer brain can't process it.
Why are you an animal? What?
Because I get to watch
you,
because it's funny.
I like that Matt's like, I get to watch their mother as they cry in horror.
Yeah. It's like fucking.
Oh my god.
This man literally just pulled a Conan, right? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of the women. Like.
That's right. Listen, Conan, this is all about the survival of the fittest, and I happen to be the fittest at kidnapping tiny animals.
I don't.
Just happens.
That's something you're proud of, Matt. I'm just saying.
I cross country to get you a rhino. Be thankful.
I don't ride that fucking rhino. It's not mine.
It makes me more angry about it.
I have ghosts.
I traveled 3 continents, 4 mountains, and died to a lion to get that thing.
Well, this is a great conversation about video game pets.
Yeah, I know. This absolutely has nothing to do with D&D.
Not tabletop.
No,
I mean, not even D&D. Just tabletop
Sam,
in
why,
general.
in your opinion, do you think that people like having pets and/or animal companions and/or goblins in their
I like
campaigns?
that, Matt. You just infinitely retool that question.
You want to know, Matt?
Yeah, I do.
Because pet cool.
There you go. Good night, everybody.
Okay. Honest answer though. My first character in WoW was a hunter.
Hell yeah.
So
nice.
Like I've always been like, damn, animal companion cool.
Yeah, agreed.
And then 4th edition was pretty strong with animal companion. It was like, damn, animal companion cool. Even though I didn't play Ranger at the time. And then 5th edition said LOL about that.
Shame.
Yeah. I mean, the revised one that came out way long ago is not bad.
I mean, that's much
great.
better.
Well, now you have Drake Warden.
Yeah, now we have Drake.
I was thinking about Drake Warden as well.
Sexy.
I was thinking about the differences between 4th edition and 5th. I actually wrote some notes about that, but like, yeah. So I do actually have a question to pose for you all. I have several actually because I write these down when I have 2 seconds at work to be like,
my pants are still on.
I'll be right over.
Nice. I was gonna make a statement, and I'm happy that I didn't make that statement. No, okay. It's dumb.
Now I want you to message me the statement.
I will.
Okay.
And then tweet it on our official Twitter.
The first question is, and Matt, I feel like you've already answered this question via your little rant. Would you rather your pet, your little companion guy, be given to you by the DM or to you by your class? So like, for instance, in Josh's campaign that me and Isaiah are in, we have been given a little gazer. His name is Melon. And he is a pet, quote unquote. Yeah. I haven't worked on doing any of the, befriending nonsense.
He has not been familiarized.
Yes, because every time I'm like, I have downtime, I'm like, well, I have this other thing I want to do that's more important. Character priorities, great thing. Or would you like, or the homunculus, for instance, in Josh's campaign as well, where it's, something that your class allows you to do versus having to basically either beg for the DM to give it to you, or you have to go on a quest to get it, which is something that the 4th edition actually made you do, by the way. If you dismissed your pet,
did they?
It literally says the DM could make you go do a quest for your pet.
I think 5e actually says. Cool. No, yeah, 5e says that for the Beast Master also.
Okay, I guess they kept that.
Going into
That's nice.
I think a lot of people ignore it, but
the new one is the summoning one.
The new one is like you summon a magic animal, which I don't like as much. But yeah, the old one, it was like, if your pet dies, you better go find a new friend, loser.
No. You can resurrect them in the old version.
I don't think you could.
No, I'm thinking of 4th edition. Not
Let me double check that. Please hold.
If the beast dies, you can obtain another one by spending 8 hours magically bonding with another beast that isn't hostile to you.
Yeah, you gotta find
the same type of beast before or a different one.
Yeah.
You have to go find one.
Yeah.
And you have to spend 8 hours.
Yeah. Gotta spend your whole day with that fucker.
Dang. It's a real shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes Beastmaster significantly worse than 4th edition, who is just like, I can just ritual cast a revive.
Yeah.
I don't need any components either. I just do it for free.
Yeah, that's why the Primordial one, they gave you the ability to do that with the Tasha's Beastmaster shit.
Would you rather get it from either working for it, like on a quest, or your DM gives it to you or whatever, or would you rather have it given to you by your class? I know where I stand on this, but I'll let Matt, I see you unmuted yourself. I'll let you speak first.
Okay. It's weird because I feel like the ability from your class should be the better option, but I've had more success with DM giving you a pet, or random, player finds pet and they're like, ooh, this is mine now and I want to work at this. So I think the first option, I think it's more interesting if the DM and obviously you and the player and DM can talk about it privately or before game or whatever. But I think it's more interesting if either through adventuring or you talk to the DM and you just find a creature or an animal and you work on it and you train it and then it becomes your best bud.
I definitely do feel like it is more rewarding is one of the words that I'm going to use here. I think it's definitely more rewarding to have the pet be something that you work towards, especially because it allows you to have this emotional attachment to them, other than I have this creature. It's a little guy, little dude. Obviously you'll build that over time, but having that initial gives you just more.
Yeah, because you worked for it rather than. With some classes, it's you can. I'm assuming with the Artificer one that Isaiah has in his the Sunday game with you guys, he had to work on it and build it. No. Rangers usually it's just go out into the woods and I find it and. Or the Drake one,
he spends money on it.
Okay. Oh yeah, I spend money on it whenever it dies, but because you get it as a infusion, so you just get it.
Oh, what the fuck? Okay.
Well, it'd be kind of I do respect to try to find it, but it would be kind of weird if it's for the infusion, you find this that you get it at a level, now go get it. It's what?
Yeah. Well,
I paid a level for it.
Am I? Because it's weird because I feel like the class one should be the thing. It's your class ability. Should be better than the the DM one, right? Or am I
No, I actually. So I'm sort of the opinion that you get the one that's given to you by your class, and it shouldn't be bad by any means, right? It should be useful. It should be able to get the job done. But if it's if you it's oh yeah, you get a wolf, and then you do these things with the wolf, and the wolf dies, and it's oh well. You the king of wolves finds you and he's oh, you treated that wolf really cool, and then you get a dire wolf. I think that wouldn't feel like bullshit to me. You know what I mean? That would feel oh, I'm my wolf died. This is not really a reward, but a good consolation for potentially losing something you gave quite a bit of a fuck about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you role played with the wolf. You you spent time with the wolf. It was your buddy. It died. You as a player you do a little funeral burial. And the spirit of the king wolf shows up and was hey, yo, thanks. That was real cool. That was neat.
I think there's an important distinction to make here because the two English left me for a moment there.
Yeah.
The two methods of getting the potential companion in this scenario serve kind of two different mechanical purposes.
Yeah, of course.
If we're looking at them from a purely mechanical standpoint. Because if you're playing D&D is a really bad example for this, because in my opinion, there is no true pet class in D&D.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah, but for the sake of argument, let's just call the Beastmaster the pet class in question.
It's the closest.
I mean, we got Beastmaster, you got Drake Warden, you got Battlesmith, Artificer, you know, they're kind of there, but they're not true pet classes in the way that I want a pet class. But if you get your pet in regards to what you were saying, Matt, which is like, should one be better than the other or whatever? If you get your pet from your class, then your pet is more intrinsic to your class, which means it's probably not going to be super OP because the game assumes you have it. So the pet is just an extension of you. So it will be balanced around the idea of it's an extension of you. The pet is like a weapon in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Whereas if the DM bequeatheth you a companion, to really use the word companion instead of pet, because really we're talking about all forms of companions. If the GM bequeatheth you a companion, they may or may not be like balanced towards any sort of thing. They may or may not be stronger. It's just kind of like whatever the DM feels like, if they want them to be stronger or not stronger, if they want them to be more or less relevant. You know, like there's lots of flavors that can come in and like various, I was about to say skill levels, various power levels. The purpose is different. A lot of the time, a DM giving a companion to a player is kind of like, hey, group of players, here's some extra sauce. Whereas the ranger or whatever it is, and D&D is obviously not the only game to have this kind of thing, but having your companion, that's like part of your class. It's not the DM giving you some extra marinara sauce on the side of your fucking lasagna, you know?
I'm mostly posing these questions as devoid of any of the mechanical benefit.
I mean,
yes.
If you're talking about it from a roleplay standpoint, that's like a whole other. The thing Matt said was sort of sounded like a mechanical question in my brain.
He's definitely talking like, he was assuming that one is more powerful than the other. I'm not having that assumption in this conversation because it's just like, yes, Ranger and Artificer are the easiest ways to give examples of this, but I know there are other games out there. Wow, what a surprise! There are other games than D&D.
Star Wars has some pet options.
Yeah, Star Wars has pet options, and with Star Wars, you have to work towards the ability to even get the pet, which is a whole other thing.
Apocalypse World has a lot of the playbooks get. Not pets, but like homies that are built into your class or your playbook, as it were.
Little guys, just little goons.
You get followers. I mean, one of the playbooks in Apocalypse World is, oh, by the way, everyone take a shot. One of the playbooks in Apocalypse World, the Hocus, is literally a cult leader, and you start with a cult of like 15 to 30 people, like at the very beginning of the game.
I think I've said this before in I believe it's Wrath and Glory. You don't get a pet necessarily, but you get, they're called, they're basically like, the people that like follow your command, and you can use them as cannon fodder whenever you take a lethal hit.
You get minions.
It's called, its ability called Get Down, Sir, and they'll just jump in front of a bush shot for you.
Amazing.
Nice.
So like I know I said pet, but pet has always been a universal term to me, at least.
It's a very universal video game term.
Yeah, like if something utilizes just creatures that you have, it's always been the pet class, quote unquote. I know like Diablo does it. You have summons. Path of Exile has them. Even Divinity Original Sin has them. Those are pets. Summons.
Shout out to our boy Skitters
and Steve the Butcher.
Hell yeah.
God bless them. We never finished that playthrough.
No, we did not. Game long.
Game very long. But like I understand where the confusion is coming from. Brain just don't work that way. But yeah, like, you know, I'm not assuming that like, yeah, power levels are kind of meaningless in this regard, and you know, having abilities that are tied to having, you know, creatures is also very nice. Like that, honestly, if every ability that you had was tied to, you know, your little guy, your little dude, that would be more of a pet class than.
Yeah, that's kind of my main issue.
I know.
Yeah.
I think my biggest issue, however, is that in like a tabletop format, unless your creature is really strong and you have a way to like keep yourself out of harm, and like those are your only other abilities, maybe a few weaker ones, like especially in tabletop, it ends up feeling a little lackluster.
My thing is,
because like and hold on, like my biggest problem with Ranger Beastmaster is quite literally, and I looked this up, by the way, Josh. I think we were playing 4E wrong. What a surprise.
Probably.
Even in 4th edition and 5th, like now in 5th edition, you still have to use your action for your beast attack to attack.
Yeah, I think Revised Ranger changed it to bonus action.
It's a bonus action.
Yes.
It was like,
yeah, but that was never
Revised
official,
Ranger,
so, you know.
but
the revised one. Yeah.
Like,
well,
I'm talking
does,
about
though,
official
so.
material action to make your beast attack. That feels
awful.
Like that's all. Like, sure, cool, but eventually your stats are just going to be better than your beasts, except for the primordial stuff where they use your proficiency bonus. But like,
okay, finish your thought, because a bunch of thoughts just blammed into my brain.
I'm sure. It's just a lot of the way that like, especially Beastmaster, a lot of the way that pets are handled in like D&D especially are always weird. Like, I think the only one that has ever made sense to me was literally the homunculus from the Artificer. Wow.
Artificer.
Let's see how many times I fuck up the word artificer. Someone get a count going.
You could say something ridiculous like artificer, then I'd have to destroy your soul.
Artificer, got it.
Artificer. That sounds marginally like close to something that sounds even worse.
Yeah. Yeah, like the fact that you can make the homunculus act certain ways without being like, yeah, I just used my entire action to make this work. Thank you. Like, no, I don't. I've never liked that. I think that's really weird and wonky. No, I will say that the 4th edition Ranger had way more options than 5th edition for its pet. Like, just even looking at the list of actions you can make it use is very funny. So like, attack, standard action, you know, it's an attack. You're making your beast do an attack, whatever. Defend. Both of you and your beast companion go on total defense, and then there's a +2 if you're away from each other, but if you're adjacent, you get a +3. And then there's a whole like second wind. If you use second wind, fun fact, 4th edition used to have second wind for basically everybody. Mm-hmm. Your beast uses it as well. It does also say beast companion. Fun. Other healing. Like you can do all sorts of things. Like they had more actions based around the beast companion than they do with 5th edition, which is like you can make it disengage or help or dash or attack with your action. And like you don't have to use your move action, which was a thing, to make it move. It just moves whenever you move. 5th edition's like you can just make it move.
Yeah.
Cool. Whatever.
So,
yeah, a lot of problems that I have with it.
Well, so there's kind of two major paths that I see when it comes to your when it comes to the idea of like the pet class, as it were. Because the reason I'm like, I don't feel like 5e has a true pet class is because all of the pet classes that do exist in 5e are still mostly I am the main character, my pet occasionally helps out. I want the pet class to be, I am here telling my pet how to fuck the bitches up, and I occasionally help them out. Like, I want my pet to be the main character, not me.
Yeah, so the big problem with 5th edition of that is that they're subclasses and not classes, or they don't do what 4th edition did, where they replace entire actions things for you.
Yeah, and that is why with 4E it's a little bit better that they had more action options, so that does help with that. The other thing is you can take, some people have the opinion, or some people, not the, like, the way some people want a pet class to be is, I'm the dude, and then my pet makes me cooler. I see that one in varying degrees, but I will say a really good execution of that idea is actually Dungeon World, because in Dungeon World, the way the Ranger works is, I thought the shots are only for Apocalypse World, sir.
No, it was anything powered by the apocalypse.
All right, all right. I guess we're just killing people.
We weren't already.
That was my plan, Josh.
Okay, well, I'll find a way to work in a fighting game reference at some point. Don't worry. So Zato 1 is a pet character. Actually, wait. Now, hold on.
Aren't they?
I might come back to that one. I might come back to that thought now that I'm thinking about it.
Aren't they also like puppet characters, not pet characters? But whatever.
Yeah. So, okay. So here's, yes. But anyway. So in Dungeon World, the way the Ranger works is you have your beast, and rather than your beast having like another character sheet or a list of abilities or like special maneuvers they can do or any of this bullshit, Dungeon World just says your beast helps you do what you're doing better, and they're trained to do certain things, and if you do that thing with your animal companion, you get a bonus because you're working with your animal companion. So for example, you can have your animal companion there's like a list of things that they can be like quote unquote trained in. Actually, let me, while I'm talking, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. So you give them kind of like a stat layout. They don't have a character sheet, but they get kind of like a bonus. They're not quite stats, but they're like bonuses that they give you. So they have ferocity, armor, cunning, instinct. You choose a strength. You choose a bunch of strengths they might have. So they can be fast, they can be burly, they can be huge, they can be calm, adaptable, quick reflexes, blah, blah, blah. You choose what they're trained to fight, or what they're trained to do, not what they're trained to fight. Sorry. So they can hunt, they can search, they can scout, they can guard, fight monsters, perform labor, and travel. So for example, if you have an animal companion that doesn't know how to fight monsters, you cannot use them to fight the dragon. They're not trained to do that. So for example, if your animal companion is a donkey, they're not going to fight the dragon with you. All animal companions can fight humans by default. They all get that. And then you choose a weakness they have. And then, so when you command them, it says, when you work with your animal companion on something it's trained in and you attack the same target, add its ferocity to your damage. If it's trained and you track with it, add its cunning to your roll. If you take damage and it's trained to defend you, add its armor to your armor. So it's like, they don't do anything. They're like a weapon you utilize to make you better at shit. And that's probably the best execution I've seen of that idea. And then the other side of the spectrum, which is the idea of like, I'm not the main character, the pet is the main character. I don't think I've seen anyone execute well ever. Other than, wow. Yeah. World of Warcraft, in the early days, Ranger, or Hunter, sorry, now Hunter. We can't, oh my God. It's so hard to keep those two straight.
I know. I always just say Hunter.
I know. Hunter in the early days, you were a little bitch. Your animal was like the DPS. Like whatever your pet companion was, of which there were many options, they were the real damage. Like they actually, 90% of your abilities were animal go fuck that dude up, and then you had some gun stuff.
The worst part is one, you couldn't get your pet until level 10.
Yeah, so playing Hunter early on sucked balls.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Your pet could just run away.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, getting to level 10 in WoW is like
not that long.
Maybe 4 hours worth of work.
Right. What's the max level now? 170, 190?
No.
They reset it back down to 60.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I think it's 70 now.
Before the reset, it was 110. Before the reset.
Fuck.
But now it's back down to 60, and now with it's 70 now with with Dragonflight. Yeah,
Yep.
They put it back down to 60, and then they pumped it back up to 70, which
they're just perpetuating the problem.
Whatever. Yeah, I'm not getting into that one. Anyway, this isn't about WoW. That's just a good example of the pet thing.
Matt, I'm just going to explain something to you, Matt. The problem is the reason why they keep doing this, and they're going to keep doing this forever, is because after a certain point, the numbers get so high that the math starts breaking.
They just get bonky.
It just gets wonky, and they
Big
have
time.
to be like, well, how do we even balance this? We're getting into numbers that are so high,
Billions and billions,
even trillions.
Yeah.
Like I remember 14 was like, yeah, our highest HP count was like something 200 something billion or something ridiculous like that.
I remember I watched that. It's one of the few live letters I did watch. Went, what?
Yeah, and WoW was worse. WoW let it go on for longer. 14 did it preemptively.
They saw WoW do it and they went,
nah, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I was joking before, but puppet characters in fighting games are often what I'm talking about, where the character you're controlling is the main superstar, right? In Guilty Gear, when you're playing Zato 1, you're really playing Eddie with a side of Zato 1, right? Like, Eddie is the main course. Zato 1's his side bitch. Because that is kind of the idea. So, yeah, where the D&D just sort of waffles in the middle. I think what D&D was trying to do was the pet is the main character method. That because I think what their logic is the reason the pet takes up your action is because your pet is super cool and good, but they didn't make your pet super cool and good. Like, they did. The problem is,
I think they were too worried about like things like
getting out of hand,
extra attack, and the action economy just being all fucked up. Like, I get it
because they limit you to what is it, a quarter CR and below, and the problem is, but you don't with baseline Beastmaster. You don't really add any bonuses to your pet. They don't get any stronger. And I'm sorry, but my quarter CR bear is not going to be able to square up against the CR 20 ancient red dragon.
Nope.
Like, I don't. So it's like, oh, well, the pet's going to be your main thing. And you as the ranger are going to be like on the side because your pet's more important. It's like, yeah, but my pet just dies like a bitch or doesn't do any damage because you don't give me any way to make them better. Because you
I can have a velociraptor as a pet. Amazing. How much health does it have? 10.
Yeah, 10 health. Right. Yeah, it's like, oh, well, we were too afraid to let the hunter's pet have multi-attack. It's like, but now the ranger / hunter, because I can't make up my mind. Well, now the ranger / hunter just blows.
Yeah, well, they do get it at 11th level. The pet does get their multi-attack back.
Yeah, but like through you and not. It's not the same as if they were they don't really
11?
upgrade.
Yeah,
also it's level 11.
Like,
actually, wow.
The problem is they don't really get much better. Like they get a little better, but not much better. You know,
they go from a level 3 fighter to a level 7 fighter.
Basically.
Oh shit.
So it's
like level 11.
I assume their idea was that where it's like, oh yeah, your pet is the main course of your class, but it didn't work out.
Well, because they also still give you all of the normal ranger shit, so you're like, okay, cool. So I do all this cool stuff.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. They give you a bunch of cool abilities. It's like I tell my pet what to do, and I don't get to use my cool ability because not a lot of your abilities are base ranger abilities, which don't interact with the subclass. So yeah, it's that problem of the subclasses don't modify the classes enough to make that make sense. So it's like if subclasses actively, this is something I really think they should do. I feel like we brought this up multiple times in the last year.
Probably.
Subclasses should take away abilities from the base class and replace them with new subclass things. Right?
Yeah.
Or at least modify them.
Or modify them. Don't just add on top. actively change the base class. You know, like I said with the example I always go back to is the Bard. Imagine if the Bard was a half caster, and then if you play Lore Bard, they become a full caster, like that sort of shit. So then you could have a Beastmaster range. What the fuck?
Beastmaster. It just turned into Igor.
It's like, then you could have a Beastmaster Ranger where Base Ranger gets cool abilities, and then Beastmaster Ranger replaces a bunch of those abilities with cool animal abilities.
Yep. You know what? I have another example. You know how there are like 15 different smite spells? Why?
Yep. Yeah.
Why not just change the smites for the different oaths
for the
of
different
paladins?
oaths? Yeah.
It's crazy how that would just make the different subclasses.
Modify your smite based on
your
your
wait. I don't want to talk about this because when we go to Paladin, I'm going to go off about this.
I mean, yeah. But
this is one of my biggest things that I cannot fucking stand about Paladin.
Isn't utility and just damage?
Well, it's also, that's funny. That's one of the reasons that Rogue is cool, because a lot of the subclasses modify sneak attack.
Right. Yeah, they allow different ways for sneak attack,
different
for your
kinds
normal
of sneak
attacks,
attack.
do different things. Yeah, well, it's crazy how Rogue is like probably easily one of the
best classes,
better designed classes out of all of them, and you're just like, wow, because like Wizard kind of modifies things because it gives you different bonuses based on the spells that you're casting.
Yeah, like the 4 core: fighter, wizard, rogue, cleric.
Yeah. Well, I think
pretty good all around.
I think the thing that a lot of people talk about with Rogue that they find interesting is the sneak attack, but I always love when cunning action gets changed.
Yeah.
Like Mastermind being like, yeah, you can help action as a bonus at 30 feet. And you're like, what the fuck? That's amazing.
Yeah.
People who say Mastermind kind of sucks, you're right. I'm not going to say you're not. You're right. But that fucking help action ability is so crazily powerful. Not even, I don't think it's overpowered. I mean, it might be, but it's so powerful that it like easily for me makes Mastermind go from like meta, not great, but actual usability, amazing.
I mean, look, a lot of the time it only takes one ability to make you give a shit about a class, right?
Yep.
Like, usually there's one key thing.
The reason why I wanted to do the Ghost Rogue is because I wanted to just make sneak attack hit more things.
Yeah.
Because I think that's like the lore behind it.
Yeah.
You use the screams of the dead to hurt another creature. It's like, bro, what? Anyways,
bro, that's metal as fuck.
Yeah. But yeah, like there's a lot of evidence that, and I'm not saying that 5th edition is super poorly designed or anything. I'm just saying that there are a lot of things that they could have done differently, and I feel like it would have been more satisfying for subclasses to be more of a modifier than here are 4 more abilities. And I get that because like 4th edition and 3rd edition had some unique stuff going on, and they went, we went a little too hard in the sauce for 3rd edition.
So
they reeled it back with 4th edition, and they went, okay, we didn't give enough sauce.
now, oh no, guys, now we have dry lasagna. What do we do?
Yeah, basically. They have burnt lasagna noodles and like a small smidge of sauce.
God, that sounds fucking awful.
3rd edition was literally just sauce. They had like one thing of noodles in there. 5th edition is closer, and then 1 D&D, I guess they've perfected the lasagna recipe.
We'll see if the sauce comes back.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see about that.
We'll see if the sauce is good. They may have made like a vodka sauce instead of a marinara. The noodles might be a little too firm. Who knows?
The noodles might be too firm.
I like how we've decided that D&D is now
lasagna.
A lasagna.
Yeah,
because it has layers.
I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie, Sam. The only reason I thought about lasagna is because it was just my birthday and we had lasagna. So
fair enough.
It's on my brain.
Oh, that's why my vomit was red. Makes sense now.
What did you just say?
What?
That's why your what was what?
What?
Oh, my vomit was red.
Very thank you.
Matt, is this implying that you forgot you ate lasagna?
I did.
All right, let's be honest. The last time I was home and we had a party, I forgot to eat dinner.
You did forget to eat dinner. This is true. But I really like the idea that the thing that's questionable in Matt's statement is not the color. The thing that I'm questioning is the fact that he forgot he ate lasagna.
Someone save this child, please.
He just literally forgot what he ate for dinner. Jesus Christ. Okay. So yeah, D&D has layers. Ogres have layers. Onions have layers.
Lasagna
have layers. Wait, what'd you say about Darkface? Everybody
do Ogrins have layers?
No, they do. They have violent outside, soft, cuddly inside.
Nice.
There's just like the beast of Nurgle.
But guys, how about parfaits? Everybody loves parfaits.
No, I actually hate parfaits. I think they're disgusting.
All right, listen, you fucking loser.
Yogurt's
What about
gross.
pancakes?
I love pancakes.
So you hate waffles?
Love waffles.
I don't know, but you said you love pancakes. You can't love pancakes and
Fuck
love
you,
waffles.
Twitter sphere. I do what I want.
Joke's on you. I'm fat.
I mean, Matt, you can say that. Yeah, I mean, that's a thing that can be said by you.
Wow, Matt. God damn.
I'll take a stack of pancakes and a stack of waffles, please. I'm an American.
You fucking got him, sir.
What about chicken, Matt?
No,
Chimkin?
all right. I'm probably one of the only people in this fucking country that despises chicken and
I hate
waffles.
that
I don't
shit too.
get it.
How dare you, sir?
Nah,
I don't get it. I don't get chicken nuggets
You want
and
the
waffles.
salty
All right,
and the
Sam,
sweet.
please,
No.
That's the
please
thing.
take the reins.
No,
Take
I
it
know-
quick before we change it more. Take it. Take it. Take.
That's it. You know what? I'm making chicken and waffles for my birthday.
It's the only food available. So I'm looking at my questions, and I did mention this, but I made a pun apparently. Didn't realize it. So in action economy, is it respected by pets or do they shit on it like a bird? I went, that's a pet joke right there.
I hate you.
Wow.
Listen, I wrote that and I was like, that's funny. Just thought about it.
I mean, yes and no. I'll say depending on like if no, you don't think so.
Okay, so this goes back to what I was talking about before, where I was like, it depends on what kind of pet class you have, right? Because if you're doing, all right, just for the sake of establishment, if you're doing the Zato 1 pet class, then you don't need to worry about the action economy problem because that is the situation where the pet is the main character, right? Yep. Yep. If you're doing the Dungeon World pet class, where the pet is supporting the main character, then you can have a problem with the action economy getting a little potentially wacky, assuming your tabletop game in question even has a fucking action economy, because, some of them don't, so it doesn't matter in that case. Although now that I'm thinking about it, there is kind of a third, sub option, which is the, wizard familiar situation, where they have a pet, but the pet is not a primary focus. There's something that comes in and out occasionally to give them a hand, but they're useful, but they're not your whole shtick.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess I won't use the fighting game comparison. We'll use the WoW Hunter and the Dungeon World Ranger. Because
the 14 Summoner.
Old 14 Summoner. Well,
Cries.
I guess a Realm Reborn 14 Summoner, yes, definitely.
Cries, screams, malds, and new Summoner.
Now the 14 Summoner is they're in a weird. I
know it's kind of like Zato 1.
It's kind of the Zato 1 thing, yeah.
Yeah,
sorta.
Because it does modify your abilities.
They do,
and you just swap them out really fast.
They're just weird because they're not really a pet class anymore. So
no, because the pet entity doesn't do
the pets
anything
are weapons,
but change
their attacks.
You.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a weird one. So. Anyway, so if you have the Hunter, if you have the WoW Hunter scenario, the action economy thing is less of a concern. If you have the Dungeon World Ranger scenario, it can be a concern. And again, 5e is in an awkward where you tried to do both scenario. So I guess if we look at the more modern examples currently, with which is to say Drake Warden Ranger and I always forget Battlesmith Artificer. I don't know why that always blanks from my brain. It seems like they've not given up, but I don't want to say given up, but they're less worried about the action economy thing, because both of those you just use your fucking bonus action, end attack as your ranger, fuck it kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they've loosened that one up a little.
Yeah.
Is it a problem? I mean, no, probably not. It's probably fine.
Yeah,
I think in those
I feel like
cases,
I was gonna say I feel like I have a hard time saying either or on this one because
yeah, say it. I know it. Say it.
What?
Do you know? I'm curious.
I don't think he does.
I thought you were going to talk about the summoning thing.
Oh, I mean, I love the Conjuration Wizard. I love that. That's pretty close to having a pet class if you do it a certain way. It's not optimal, but it's very fun. Well, what I was gonna say was if it's powerful or not, I'm not really sure because the game I'm playing, every point counts, right? My players have 4 pets. And they use them at every chance they get because it's especially if they're in combat, they're well, we just have to kill everything, if we don't, they're gonna kill us. But also I have Adamisk, who has the 3rd highest kill count in Josh's game.
The literal god of death incarnate.
Yeah, he is a tiny
Monster.
avatar of mass destruction, and I'm shitting you not, has the 3rd highest kill count behind me and Sam.
He goes up into the air and he shoots.
Yeah,
that's
it just rains because it's Leah. Leah probably somewhere in the maybe 40 to 50. I feel like Django's somewhere in the 25 to 30. Adamisk with a solid 25, 30 kills.
Yeah.
So do I think Adamisk is OP? No. But do I think he's very good? Yes.
It also helps that we have Brett, our wonderful divination wizard bard, that I think has a total of 3 kills.
Nice.
About 3 to 5 kills. Yeah.
It's not very high.
No, not at all. But that's what he built. Yeah.
For your other game though, the post-apocalyptic one, whatever you said, you guys have 4 pets.
Yes.
That one, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long does a normal combat encounter take? Because it's 4 pets plus. How many players do you normally have? You have 4 or 5 players?
6.
6?
Yeah.
That's 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
So how long does because my argument against certain, because I'm mostly if it's the Ranger thing, the Drake Warden, the Smith, Battlesmith, the Artificer thing, Homunculus, that's fine because it's 1. Same thing when I played the Pathfinder for a little bit and I played the Summoner there. It's 1 creature, it's fine. But when it's every player gets their pet and each one takes his turn in combat, and it's all right, oh god, that's a lot of shit on the field. Combat's gonna take forever, and it does.
Oh wait, I
bog the game down a little bit.
So I did miscount. It's 3. It's
3. Okay.
They have a 6-legged horse with teeth and claws. That's a pure carnivore. Horse have teeth? No, you don't understand. It's got a maw. There's no lips.
Okay, all right. I was about to say a horse with teeth. Maw. I mean, horse? No.
They have the joke is that it's not a horse. The person who always oh, it's my horse. They're that's not a horse. I've seen a horse. That's not what a fucking horse looks like. But yeah, so that's Sela, who has she's gotten a few kills. Then there's Paladin's reptile bird thing named Viz. It's got its name's Eviscerate for short, but got a million fucking titles because they gave it a military rank and it's the highest ranked person.
Oh
in the
yeah,
party.
you told us Admiral Wolverine, Lightning Bolt, all that shit.
I'm sorry, what?
Admiral Wolverine, Lightning Bolt.
What is that actual thing?
That's from a Billy and Mandy thing where they found the pet. And Billy's I'm gonna name him Admiral Wolverine Lightning Bolt. And when you tell me the name of that pet from your campaign, that's immediately what I go to. And I'm just what the fuck? Yeah, those are the 3 coolest words I ever found.
And then they have their newest pet is a weird Caiman iguana thing that they've lovingly named Gyoza. who has a single kill to his name, but considering he's only been around for 2 sessions, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, does it take longer? Complicated question. Because it should, but because the rule of Hellscapes is live quick, die quick, not really. Like, yes, there's more things on the board, so there's more things to keep track of. But the players are pretty good by knowing, like, oh, that's a bonus action. I can just do that. So they'll do, like, players will be like, okay, I shoot. All right, I hit or miss. I shoot. All right, I hit or miss. Okay, bonus action for my animal. And I control Atsila and Gyoza, so like when I'm running monsters, I'm pretty quick. I'm like, this does this, this does this, this does this, this does this, this does this. So I just want to get that out of the way so the players can get back to doing what they want to do. But if they were controlling all the pets, it probably would take a little bit longer, yeah. And that's just because
that's what I initially thought.
Yeah,
I mean, even for you, like running 2 out of the 3 pets, that's also kind of like.
It can be rough if it's a particularly lengthy combat, or if there's like a lot of things. Like they just fought one of like the big bosses of the game in my game, and I was getting a little frazzled by the end because like everybody was going down, nobody had an HP, somebody like 3 people were dying. There was like an NPC to take care of. There's 4 NPCs to take care of that they brought with them. One of them was a non-combatant, thankfully. So when it comes to that, that's when I start getting a little frazzled. But yeah, no, it doesn't do anything. I've never felt like it swung things unfairly. It was just, oh, cool. They have like an extra thing that can potentially soak up a hit for them or kill something. But I'm also somebody where if my players stomp an encounter I build, I don't particularly get like annoyed about that. I think it's pretty cool when they do that because it makes them feel cool, which makes me happy. Yeah.
No, I'm not really saying like against it because of like the overpoweredness of animals or anything. It's mostly just, it's going to slow combat down. Like there's more pieces on the board. There's more things that either the player or DM have to take into account. And I've seen it too many times to be like, yeah, this isn't an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if it was normal 5e, it would absolutely. Because, damage is a little bit, but it's a little bit lower. The way the game flows is just a little bit slower than Hellscapes does. Hellscapes is kind of made to be fast and visceral. If I was playing standard 5e, probably.
Matt, in your experience, have they fucked with the action economy?
Oh yeah. I've had players do the whole like, can I do the conjure creature this, and can I summon this, and I hired these guys to do this, and it's like, all right, fucking, oh god, there's so many things on the board. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, I have done that as a player. I have done that with that summoner wizard because I was
which and again, I feel bad because I think the idea of the summoner is cool, but like I also hate it on the DM side. I just despise it.
That's why to do a fun summoner class, the thing you do is not I summon 80 bajillion snakes. The thing you do is I summon one really big fuck off snake to do all the work for me.
Or a swarm of snakes.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
and the swarm is one token.
Rules.
What I would often do with that specifically is, so my character's like that character's bread and butter was conjure elementals, and I'd like special abilities that would keep it from attacking me if I lost control of it. So I would drop an elemental in the middle of the fight, and I would keep my familiar out because as a conjuration wizard, you have the transposition ability. So I could send the bird places and then teleport to where the bird was and swap out positions if I was ever in trouble. And I would just start slinging cantrips at stuff while the elemental took care of most of it. And if the elemental died, I would just drop something bigger. At some point, the GM, I do this whole side quest for it, but the GM gave me a Storm Giant Quintessa, and I was so excited, but I never got to use it.
Jesus, that thing does so much fuck. Like I know I used it against not against my party, but my players meant one in the 3-year game, and that shit had like I think it's lightning javelin ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fucking hurts.
Yeah, that thing fucks. It's pretty great.
Yeah. The too much shit on the board can be annoying in like literally any context, like even in a video game context where the game is taking care of like the hard part, math, keeping track of shit, it still can be a pain in the ass to like have so many things in the way or whatever, which is why generally you want to go for the ranger of the, you know, the ranger style of I have one pet who is super cool, not I have 85,000 pets. You know, so yeah, definitely if you're talking about the like the druid casting conjure animals or whatever, that shit's that's just annoying. Not a fan. I get it, you don't have a lot of options in 5e, but goddamn, that shit's annoying. Although you have more options now because Tasha's, so because the summon beasts and all that.
Yeah, because I think they're definitely trying to get away from the conjure spells and just move into the summoning spells, which I agree. Or they're better. They're better. They're easier. I originally when starting the Strixhaven game was just gonna tell my players, hey, we all just agreed conjure spells, just not use them. Use the summoning spells. But then I just forgot it because one of my players specifically wanted conjure creatures for his character. So I was like, all right, well, there goes that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I wouldn't ban them outright, but it is that thing where it's like, okay, I'm not going to ban this, but this is going to be the trust system. Do not fuck every encounter I make with this spell, and I won't ban it. Cool? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and that's one of the, like, this is where, like, sometimes, because I've also read a bunch of the stories, these horror stories, where it's like, all right, DM, I summoned 32 snakes. All right, cool, I cast Fireball on all your snakes. Okay, cool. Well, next encounter, I'm going to come up with a way to avoid you fireballing all my snakes.
Are immune to Fireball. And you're like,
yeah, what? Exactly. And then it just becomes this back and forth.
Between the DM and the player.
Yeah, you never want that shit.
No.
Like, DM, never. Can I make a ritual to create fire snakes? You're like, what?
Fire snakes?
Why would you need fire snakes?
Hold on. Fire snakes would be pretty rad.
It would be, yeah, dude.
You go on an entire quest up to the fire giant's like forge in the volcano to dip your staff into the heat of the smelter to make the magical fire snakes.
I would just love the idea of a player being like, I summon snakes, and like, okay, cool, this wizard's ability is that whatever you cast at it, it doubles back at you, and they're like, wait, but GM, that's 60 snakes, and you're like,
yeah.
Yeah, and you don't want to do about it. Oh, that's also another, like, you don't want to be the GM where it's like, all right, my players keep summoning these things.
Time for me to summon
I hate it as a GM. So what if I did it to my players? And it's like, no.
I feel like exclusively fight conjuring druids.
Yeah,
it's like every bad guy. There's one summoner every combat encounter now, and it's like, son of a bitch.
I think it's fine to do it if you do it like once. If you just hit it with that one where it's like, you know, it's like, if they like to counterspell everything, just give them send them up against an archmage, and it's just like 5 reactions. Right. And they're just like, what?
Oh no, a Merilith wizard.
Here's the thing. At the end of the day, you only need to counterspell 1 Revivify to put the Get Fear of God in them.
True. You could also be, if you want to just be
I've never done that. I don't want to do that. That feels. I felt mean counterspelling a healing word.
Hell yeah, brother! Counterspell that Revivify.
Revivify. That's just being an asshole. That's just not cool.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You want to actually clown someone, be like, so guys, I found this great spell in 3.5. It's called Disjunction. I think I'm going to use it in the game. And they're like, wait, hold on. Isn't that the spell that can just turn off artifacts?
You're like, yeah.
Oh, wait, I think that was in an MCDM magazine. They reposted a bunch of spells from like older editions and updated them for 5e. I think that one's in there. I gotta try and find it.
That's amazing.
Let's go.
But I don't know, Sam, if you have more questions. I have a couple questions too. But
I do, but
I have a couple. Is your mom single or?
Got him.
No.
Is yours, Josh?
Also, no.
So this has been the Sessions Cancel podcast.
I don't know why you said it that way when the answer was the same.
What is happening?
God, if you're out there,
I'm too unwell for this nonsense.
Wait, Matt, how about your sister?
No such thing as too unwell.
So I
like
okay,
how what I said got drowned out. Anyway,
just gonna ask a question. No, Josh, I heard you. Don't you worry.
But Matt didn't hear me.
No, and that we'll keep it there. So Josh, I know you'll understand this right away. Because wow.
Yeah.
So exotic pets, and my exotic, I mean like dragons, unique magical creatures, like a displacer beast.
Pets that are racist. I'm kidding.
Like a displacer beast, or like an ancient Sith beast if you're playing Star Wars.
Monsters.
Or just monsters in general, like something that isn't like, oh, I have bear, I have wolf, I have spider,
Spider.
Is that from fucking Megamind?
Yes.
Oh my god.
That has very similar energy to Boat. Yeah, do you not remember the Boat joke?
I think
from Phineas and Ferb, he made a boat and he called it a buoyancy operated aquatic transport.
Oh my god!
He calls it a Boat. Doofenshmirtz.
Do not remember that. I hate that so much.
Yes, sir. I'll find that clip.
So, anyways, exotic pets. Usually, I think Drake Warden's probably the easiest example of a class that just gives an exotic animal to you because it's literally a drake. It's not something that you would just find out in the woods.
True.
I mean, I guess that depends on the setting, but if you're finding drakes out in your woods, you probably shouldn't live there. just a suggestion.
Probably just get the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah, I would just leave. That's like a Monster Hunter scenario where like out your back door is just something that's gonna kill you. So exotic pets, something, you clearly have to give to your player. They have to work really hard for, how would you handle them? How would you handle their stats? Would you take abilities from their original sheet, or would you like tweak them so that they make a little bit more sense for a player? Because at that point, you were literally just making a pet that's like basically the main character because it's a monster and it's cool, probably cooler than your player.
So you're saying if you decide to hand your sentence?
Yeah.
If you decide to hand your players something like a dragon, how do you layer
that sauce onto the lasagna?
If it was up to me, how would I do it? It'd probably be one of those like you get a gem, you can do it once a day.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not even that. It's like it'd probably be kind of like a what fucking abilities? It's like you can do it once every like 1d6 days. Because
like so you're thinking rechargeable. And I'm not talking like
if it's a straight up dragon, 100%.
Well,
I'm not so much saying dragon. I'm saying so much like not like fucking CR18 or higher bullshit. I'm talking like because dragon's a bit of an extreme example. I'm more talking like at most like you would get like a very young dragon if you're gonna go dragon. I'm not talking like adults or young dragon.
Sam's just saying like you give them something that's not just like an animal. Yeah. It's something that's a little more exotic and
an owl bear, a gelatinous cube, a displacer beast.
It's presumably also a little more powerful than a normal animal is part of the point.
Yeah. So I'll take back what I said actually. Because I literally did this. I built a spell for that summoner that I pitched to the GM and he accepted it. And it was like it was a 6th level spell slot, and you could basically summon something of any CR asterisk. You had to find that creature, you had to write a contract for it, and you had to use like diamond, ink and diamonds and all this shit. So it was expensive to do. And if the creature's CR was higher than yours, you had to roll an Arcana check to try to like overpower the contract to make it right. And if you failed, the diamonds and the paper and everything you used is destroyed. But if you succeeded, you got to keep it until it died. If it dies, the contract is destroyed. You have to do it all over again. If the spell just ends, it goes back into the contract. You can put it away for later. So I think allowing for more casual use, fine. But the hurdles you need to go through to get it in the first place, better be worth it. That's just how I see it, though.
Okay. Matt, you got ideas for how you would handle that?
Well, actually, so in the 3-year game, I just kind of gave it to my players. I gave them a Drake.
Oh. You just said fuck it.
Kind of. So I watched.
Huh? It was a little Drake, right?
Well, so originally it was a guard Drake, and then originally it was a guard Drake, which is CR2, I think. It was a black Drake. It was a black Drake. Black dragons are the coolest looking fucking dragons with the skull face and everything. And they rescued it from a cave where a crazy dragon cultist kidnapped a bunch of dragon eggs, and out of all the eggs, only one of them was a Drake egg. The rest of them were actually like wormlings, like dragon wormlings. And so this black Drake was almost eaten and killed. Yeah.
I almost used the fucking WoW word, whelp.
Yeah. But the party came in, they killed the wormlings, and then ended up healing the Drake, and so the Drake kind of became their companion. And basically I kind of just treated them like, an NPC follower. They treated it basically like their dog, like their mascot. They loved the fucking thing. They fed it, they took care of it, they bought armor. But eventually, like Josh was saying, that will happen with a lot of weak monsters. Eventually they were fighting shit and he'd get one shot. And the players would be like, oh no, our baby. He's dying.
My son.
And right around the time, like me and specifically the Hexblade player were working on trying to figure out, like, all right, how do we, like, I want to bring him on adventures with us, but I don't want him to die. What do we do? So I was like, all right, well, maybe we'll just give him some levels and working with the Xanathar system. And it was a fucking mess trying to do it that way, trying to just add some hit points to him, increase his proficiency bonus without really knowing or understanding, like, how proficiency bonus was tied to levels. Or how monster CR tied to players' levels. Yeah. So as we were doing this, eventually the Unearthed Arcana came out a couple years ago of the sidekick rules. And as soon as we got that and looked at it, we're like, all right, fuck it. We're just going to do this. We're just going to use this. And it worked like a charm. So good. I made him the warrior stat block. We had to downgrade him from a guard Drake to an ambush Drake. But I think it ended up being better because he just gained pat tactics.
You don't really have to, because I made a sidekick with a stat block that is too high level, like too high CR, quote unquote. It works fine.
Oh, all right. Well, either way, he ended up being better off for it, and eventually could like hold his own. And actually talking, because I was asking the Hexblade player the other day about this, and he mentioned, he's like, technically the Drake is the second oldest player in the party. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, besides me, no other original characters in our group stayed, like, besides us two. I'm like, oh shit. Because that Drake I gave it to them at level 3 all the way to level 20.
Animal.
Yeah, that thing, and it survived a bunch of shit. I have so many fucking funny stories about it, but yeah, I just kind of, in that situation, I just kind of gave it to him because I thought it'd be fun. I looked at the art for the Drake, and I'm like, ooh, I want to give this to my players. I think it'd be cool. And they took to it. They love the fucking thing. Eventually, I gave it wings too, so I'm like, all right, it could fly. I think I added it can do the Dragonborn breath attack like once a day. Because I was like, fuck it.
Yeah, the sidekick rules are a pretty easy way to convert something into a usable companion, even if it's like, even if it's not supposed to be or whatever.
Yeah, the thing that I really, I guess it's not really about a pet. I guess sidekicks are pets, right? Yeah, it's fine. The thing that I do really like about the sidekick system is that they expect you to they expect you to take a pre-existing stat block and sort of add sidekick to it with this, like, you get to like polymerize them together. Because I don't remember where it is, but they, in the wording of it somewhere, they sort of reference like any abilities it had before it was a sidekick carried over. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Because they have a companion who I turned into a sidekick. He's I think he's just the fighter one. But because he's a hyena person, I gave him shit like a bite and rampage, which was like if you reduce a creature to 0 hit points, you can move half your movement and make another attack. And it was one of those cool things where, like, you know, he started off as a bandit and they were training him to be like an actual soldier, and he was getting better. And he was like, I basically made it so that if the party would like use certain gambits, they're called, but they're spells, but everyone gets them. No, there's no caster class. Everybody gets a gambit. The more that they would use them around him, he could learn them. So it's like if someone used like a specific heal around them like 10 times, let's say, he would pick that up. So now he's got like 3 or 4 of their gambits that they use from time to time, and he's got like his own hyena person stuff. It's so cool. I don't know. I kind of gush about it. I don't use it as much as I probably should, but I think it's so fucking cool.
Yeah, definitely some like, you know, training goes along with it. Probably if you're like, you know, you have a person who's like, I want to befriend the gnoll, or I want to befriend the drake. You know, finding it, healing it, feeding it, taking care of it. Probably in that line.
In that order, you mean?
Sure.
Yeah. There's a couple of ways you could do the like crazy exotic pet, the, you know, give the party a displacer beast or a pet, you know, baby dragon or whatever.
Yeah.
If you do the magic item method, which is to say like it's not actually a companion so much as it's a magical item you throw to use every once in a while, then yeah, you can do like recharge shit that I was talking about. That's fine. But if you want it to be a permanent companion, most of the time you're probably going to have to nerf them in some capacity, because usually if you're taking an enemy that's not normally intended to be a companion and then turning them into a companion, usually the enemies are designed in such a fashion that they can, you know, take an ass whooping for a couple of rounds or whatever, handle their own against players, etc., etc. So it'd be kind of a bit much if you just gave that to players whole cloth. For most games. But
yeah. I mean, if we're talking standard 5e, I think.
Well, I'm not talking standard 5e. I'm just talking in general.
Okay, yeah, I mean, but if we are talking like the system that we're using at the moment, I think it's that's fair, right? You don't want to give someone a fucking Behir at level 6.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like you can, but you have to kind of nerf them in some fashion. You have to bring them down to a reasonable level in some idea, because usually a monster, it's like a monster or an enemy in general is going to operate on their own, not with a group of players. So they are usually, you know, designed in such a fashion to operate on their own or with a couple of other monsters. So they're going to be pretty good on their own. If you stick them in with a party of players, they are now godly, as in terms of like, if you think of them as a tool, they are now a godly tool. So yeah, you make them, you're like, oh, it's instead of a dragon, it's a baby dragon, or oh, the dragon got magically weakened, or like, you know, shit like that. Or the other method is you take the exotic animal and like use a different set of stats or whatever, and then slap on something along the lines of a sidekick rules type situation so that they like grow with the players. But yeah, I think most of the time you're not gonna want to just slap a companion on the party as is. I think you have to adjust. Sometimes it might even not be a case of adjust power level or anything like that. It might be a case of you actually need to adjust how they function. Right? So if I'm playing Dungeon World and the players befriend a fucking a ghost or some shit, and the ghost is like immune to physical attacks, obviously when it's in the player's hands, I'm not going to make it immune to physical attacks, because that's a bit much. So I'll sort of, I'll change the ability. It's like, oh, well, it works temporarily, or it can absorb so many attacks or whatever. Like, it might just be a case, or there might be an ability that an enemy creature uses in a game that is specifically designed to work against player characters. So then obviously if they're not going to be against the player characters, you got to tweak it so that it also applies to other enemies now. Basically, I don't see any situation where you're just gonna slap a monster in the group whole cloth and be like, all right, all good. I mean, there might be some exceptions, but I cannot think of anything at the moment. I've never seen that work. It almost always requires tweaking the creature.
Yeah. You'd have to tweak it, or in the case of it being like an outstanding situation, a la, the Chroma Conclave. Like, okay, well, yes, you can give them an ancient copper dragon, but, they have to be aware that this ancient copper dragon is going to make it so that the fight went from impossible to just difficult. Yeah. You're using it almost like a gambit, like a resource, rather than like a thing that's going to be existing in the fight with you.
Yeah. And if anyone out there is like looking for some like outside resources, these are too specific for 5e, but the was it Stibble's Codex of Companions?
Yes.
Like that little book has 150 fucking little animals and creatures and shit you can befriend and make your animal companion or whatever. And then the MCDM Beast Heart, which is like, what if we have an animal companion who basically, the main mechanic is, yeah, my monster is like my main shtick and it's gonna fuck shit up.
Yo, let it be said, I liked Stibble's Codex so much, I bought it.
My God.
So surprised.
Isaiah, that sounded
flabbergasted.
Really incriminating, but okay.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Don't phrase it like that. Maybe next time.
No, I know exactly. I know what I said, and I said what I meant.
Okay, well, all right.
That's the guy.
Look, I'm a poor boy. I'm a poor child. I don't got the money to be spending money like that.
I understand. It was the way you phrased it that just.
Yeah, no, I know. I liked it so much, I paid for it.
You could have maybe phrased that a little gentler. Like I get it, but All right. Well, if the cops come,
it's fine. I also, he RuneSmith is it like an indie.
This is true.
Trainer,
yes.
So of course I'm gonna pay for anything that's indie because he's actually gonna be seeing that.
Yes, but also he works with Ghostfire Games, so it's not like
he does now.
Ghostfire Games is not a monolithic mega company.
No, I'm saying they're third party. It's not indie, but it's. The Stibbles was like a Ghostfire thing.
Oh, was it?
Or it is a Ghostfire thing.
I think it technically was, but it's that thing where like a lot of indie video games these days are not technically indie because they are published, but people still call them indie because they have the indie vibe, right? Look, we don't need to get into those semantics right now, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. Also, Ghostfire Gaming.
He is a small time creator. Ghostfire Gaming is a company, but they are not that big. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Same.
What do you think on giving your creatures or your players like a dragon?
No, Matt, you don't get to ask Sam. Sam's asking us questions.
Well, but I want to know his thoughts.
I'll give you my thoughts. I was going to.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, then.
I wanted to know.
Yeah, you didn't even have to ask. I was just going to do it, but then you started talking.
He was just gonna bend you over the couch and just.
You know what? Maybe I don't want to anymore. Maybe I want you to,
Now you got to beg for it.
Yeah. On your knees.
Cool.
Anyways.
Don't threaten me with a good time, sir.
That got dirty quick. It was my fault, but my point still stands.
I mean, I would much rather either adjust the stats of the creature or give them companion rule or sidekick rules rather, and like just beat the stats just a little bit, or just be like, hey, look, I'll give it to you, but you need to hit this level first.
I mean, Sam, there's also that animal shit that you do sometimes and just make a stat block whole cloth.
Yeah.
Could do that.
Yeah. Could do that.
That's the savage maneuver.
That's if you want to go buck wild, though.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that for every little goddamn thing ever, though.
Fair enough.
It does actually take quite a bit of work.
It does, yes.
To be like, is this balanced?
It takes a good amount of mental capacity.
Gymnastics.
Yeah, like you have
I'll go
to
with gymnastics.
consider,
Like,
do a little math.
Well, in this situation,
Yeah.
this would work here, but then they could abuse it this way. You know, it goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. It's almost like designing a single creature that doesn't just stab things. It's hard.
Game design hard.
And making it bounce.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Keyword
sure.
balance.
Yeah, I guess game design is easy if you just don't give a fuck. If you just go buck wild.
He has,
I'm
he
not
has
saying-
laser vision and can teleport and cannot be hurt.
He has a 10d10 antimatter rifle. Wow.
I'm not saying you shouldn't give a fuck, but what I am saying is I would
Be
be
like what we
lying
did.
if I said from time to time I don't just make a stat block and put some wild shit on it and be like, it seems like a little bit much, and I just don't use it. You know what I mean?
That's giving a fuck, though.
Yeah, but I'm not like, you know, I'm not preemptively giving a fuck. I'm just saying send it and then.
No, but you're still aware enough to look at it and be like, maybe not. Like that's you're still thinking about it. You're not just hitting the fire button immediately. Still, you know, it's not nothing.
This is a notice to my
You
players.
put a single thought.
This is a notice to my
no
players.
thought.
That boss that you fought last session, it had a mythic phase. I didn't use it. You're welcome.
Yeah, that happened in the fucking Dracolich you guys fought.
Oh, word.
Yeah, he had another
You
phase.
said that.
Oh, that's right. That's what you did.
I just ended up being like, but I didn't do it because you couldn't handle it. I did it because it was late, and I was like, all right, we'll stop session here instead.
Yeah,
I did it as a time constraint.
I may have been a little overconfident in or sorry, not overconfident. I may have misjudged my player's capability to take roughly 30 damage a hit about 9 times around.
It happens.
I may have been like, they'll be fine. They've got plenty of mitigation. They did for a little while.
For a bit. Yeah.
That's it. Then I had to dial it back.
God, that would have been funny though. And then the T-Rex gets up. He does what now?
I made it explode.
Fair enough.
It did like 15 d8 damage, enough to just knock most players on their asses. And they're like, but now most of us are down. I'm like, but you're not dead.
Yeah. Better act quick. Get everybody else up.
That was a violent yawn I just did. Oh my god.
A yawn, you say? Violent, you say?
Yes.
Who shreds you?
Waking up and choosing violence.
I choose violence every day.
Yeah, and you wake up and you choose.
I have a question.
What's your question,
God
Matt?
damn it,
Please.
What?
Ask away. It's illegal.
All right. How as fellow DMs, how are you guys? What is your opinions on maiming and or killing pets?
Bro, that's fucked up.
Okay.
It depends. Like it depends. To say that a pet can never die, I'm not gonna do that. Like if you do not keep track of your pet and it gets, for example, blown up by a monster dying and it just dies, that sucks. That truly sucks. I don't want it to die, but it could. Now, if you've got, even if you have an ability that's like, oh yeah, my creature, like, that bird thing, it comes back, or you're guaranteed to get another one within 7 days. Even with that on the table, I don't want to kill it, but I will. You know, it shouldn't be. You shouldn't do it to like fuck with your players. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Don't specifically target the pet.
It also depends on the pet too, right? Because, for example, Isaiah's homunculus has died several times, but he can bring that back the next day.
Yeah.
So it's like not a big deal. But if you kill the ranger pet and it takes them time to go find a new pet, it's like, all right, it's a little ruder. I think the main thing is, I'm not going to say your pet's invulnerable. I will say your pet's invulnerable if you do the thing where you're like, GM, I would like to have a cat. And then I say, okay, well, the cat can't do anything. Like,
The
that's
cat's
fine.
not going to be engaging in combat.
The cat's not doing anything. I just want to
to
have a cat. And you're like, okay, fine. Then I will make the cat invulnerable because it doesn't matter.
Plot armor. And,
Sure.
Yeah.
Then the cat can have
agree.
plot armor. Also, I don't want to, kill animals that are actual animals generally.
No, because
but if
Like
in
the-
a situation, sorry.
What are you, Nixon?
You good?
No, my brain was still going. But yes, in situations where it's like, if it's okay, let's just use the Critical Role example. If it's Trinket, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say Trinket's invulnerable. I'm not necessarily gonna go out of my way to hit the bear, but if the bear stands in the dragon's fire breath, they're gonna get hit by the fire breath. Right? Like it's pretty fun. Also, not for nothing, a lot of the time it's not worth specifically targeting the pet anyway. Like if you think about it from a purely mechanical, like metagame standpoint, it's not really worth it anyway. So yeah, I'm not gonna go out of my way, but they are in danger. Shit can happen if you do something dumb with your animal, or your companion. If you do something dumb with your companion of any kind, then you did something dumb with your companion. I don't know.
I feel like it happens so many. I feel like it's happened to me as a player, and it happened to me as a player where it's like you accidentally either
Happened
kill
to you
the
as a player
familiar.
and a player?
Yeah, it happened to me as a player where I go and I
as a
summon
player?
my owl as a wizard, and I'm like, all right, I want
He's making fun of you for saying it twice,
You
Matt.
said it happened to me as a player. You said it happened to me as a player, and it happened to me as a player.
sorry. I'm sorry. Have me as a
Matt
player
just
and a
ignored me.
DM,
Matt
both
just
sides. Where it's
completely
I
ignored me.
summoned my pet, I sent it out on a mission, and then the DM's like, it failed the stealth check, and so the goblin shoots an arrow at it, and I'm like, well, Skeeter, that's 10 gold down.
Yeah. That kind of, I understand.
I mean, that's a reasonable
I was
reaction.
specifically trying to spy on the goblin encampment. I rolled like shit. It happens. And then as a player, as a DM, it's happened to me where my player's been like, all right, man, I want to have my creature spy on the enemy or whatever. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, they failed the perception check, and these guys are kind of dickheads, so they're going to just shoot it. And I'm like,
Yeah,
fuck.
for
And
me,
it's not one of those where it's like, as a DM, I'm not purposely going after your players. I probably should have worded it better than just killing.
No, but it's
pets,
if you sending your owl familiar into the goblin encampment is the same energy as your bear standing in front of the dragon's fire breath. That's
it's
how
the
I
risk
look at that.
reward of
Yeah,
I'm
you're trying
risking
to
my
get a
pet's
thing,
safety.
something happens. Exactly.
yeah,
But,
for me, the killing the familiar that way, I usually chalk up to a player being reckless or just not descriptive enough, right? Because if you're like, I send my owl to go scout the area, it's like, well, how long do you have it circling? Do you have it land? Do you do anything in particular that has them do anything? If no, then in my head, it's just circling above it, right? Because you're
Down in the
controlling.
open, yeah.
And then people are like, well, that's kind of sus. How come that fucking owl's been circling at 3 p.m. over our camp? Let's shoot at it.
Yeah.
But if it just if you're like, okay, I'm going to have the owl do a once over and land on a tree that's kind of obscure so they can't see it, then I'm just be like, all right, cool. You did it.
Also, if it's a bunch of goblins, they'll probably shoot the owl down and eat it.
Yeah.
They might, yeah.
And then they watch it poof out of existence. They're like, where'd meat go?
And then they get sad. They're like, where owl go?
But I definitely 100% agree with the pets have plot armor. If it's you speak with the DM about it and you're like, listen, I just want a cat, I just want a dog, I just want a ferret, whatever the fuck. And you ask the DM, you're like, listen, this thing's not going to help me in combat. It's not going to be helpful mechanically at all. It's just a fucking flavor thing or roleplay thing.
He's just there.
Yeah, it's just there. And it's like, okay, then as a DM, be nice. Don't fucking attack the thing. Don't kill it. In Icewind Dale, we bought, I don't know if anyone knows what an axe beak is, but it's basically a giant ostrich bird with a beak carved that looks exactly like an axe head. And you can use these things in combat. But both me and the player who spent the money on the bird were like, all right, these encounters in Icewind Dale suck. This bird's gonna die the minute we get out into the wilderness. We have to think of a way to not get the bird killed. So we were like, all right, DM, hey, okay, can we, if we just say like, anytime we get into a combat encounter or whatever, the axe beak just runs off somewhere. It's trained. It'll come back if we whistle for it, if we survive this encounter. Can we just do that? So that way we don't want like, a Yeti fucking eating our bird or an ice dragon or some shit like popping out of the ground. And he was cool with it. So, yeah, plot armor for pets. It's simple, it's easy, and you don't have to feel bad as a DM about murdering, animals.
Yeah. I think I generally agree. If you intend on it being used in combat or some sort of like it takes some level of mechanical advantage, you are accepting a level of risk with that, But if I'm not going to go out of my way to try to kill it. Like, I'm not going to have 2 orcs gang up on your fucking Harpy Eagle and murk it. You know what I mean?
I keep joking with one of my players in the Strixhaven game about that because he has a bat familiar, and so he constantly uses it. And I do the thing when like if the enemy is surrounded by a bunch of players, I roll a d4 or d6 whatever, and I'm like, all right, eeny meeny miny mo. And I always joke with him, I'm like, oh no, the bat's just right there. I guess this is gonna attack the bat. And he's like, no, Matt, no. But I never end up actually doing it because I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking be a dickhead about it. But I always just like joke with him because it's funny because he's also been like, I've had so many times where the GM just murders my pet.
Fuck your bat. Bang bang.
Hey, your bat. Bang bang.
Yeah. Although he did do a cool thing with the bat one time where a player was about to get knocked unconscious, but he had sent the bat the turn before into that player's like jacket. So he's like, hey Matt, can my bat use its reaction and like jump in like between the sword of the enemy and the player and like just kind of like save him from that 1 point of damage or whatever. And I'm like, all right, but the bat's gonna die. And he's like, it's fine. It's only 10 gold. All right. He managed to save the player 1 HP before going unconscious.
That's fucked.
He was mad about it because he's like, well, either the dude gets killed our player gets killed next turn, or I lose my bat. And you know what? He's like, I can summon my bat. It sucks, but I'd rather do that than lose a player.
It's also worth pointing out that if you're specifically using your, pet for some sort of mechanical advantage thing, then there has to be, some kind of like punishment consequence for a fuck up.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like you can't be like, I used my familiar to get all this information on the area, but DM, you can't hurt them. Like, it's not like you don't just get a free fucking, what is the spell? You don't just get a free clairvoyance spell.
No, yeah. It's going to come down like later on in the game where it's like, if God forbid I cast Fireball on him and his familiar is on his shoulder.
Too bad, bro.
Yeah, it's not going to be like, well, Matt, what if I have him tucked in my jacket? It's like, nah, man, like.
Nah,
I'm sorry, but it's.
Nah, bro.
But I would do that with any character using a familiar. Yeah. It's not just like him. It's just like, well, they're going after you. You specifically said your creature is on your shoulder. It has 1 HP. Even if it made its dex save, it's not going to survive a fireball.
Yeah, for me, it's like, well, just pray that I forget. If I forget, then we're chill. But it's that, or if my player goes out of their way to be like, oh, can I dive on top of my, I put my owl in my jacket and dive on top of it and try to shield it from the blast, and I'll be like, yeah. Okay, it does technically have full cover because it's usually size tiny, and if you blocking it with your whole body. Yeah, if you want to be
nice about it, because again, like as DMs, you don't want to, like, yes, even if it's in combat, there's a part of me that still feels bad anytime like something like that happens. So if a player is like actively going out of their way to be like, yeah, can I body my familiar to save it? Like, okay, you be nice to your players. For the few GMs that are out there, be nice to your players.
Yeah, for that 20% of DMs.
The 20%. Yeah, exactly.
We're talking to you, the 20%.
That's right. 20%ers. Stand strong. Diamond hands.
Diamond hands.
Keep the line.
Instead of diamond hands, it's DMG hands.
Yeah, demon.
Just two big ass DMGs in your hands.
Nah.
Gorilla.
What does that have to do with gorillas?
What if I want a gorilla for a pet?
Okay.
Maybe. What's CR as a gorilla?
Can I have a Giralon as a pet? Can I have a 6-armed gorilla?
No.
Yeah, but he has the stats of a regular gorilla. He just has 6 arms.
With 6 arms.
Damn it.
Is there even a gorilla stat block? Hold on, now I want to look at this.
Yeah, there is.
I think there is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, didn't we turn Chris into a gorilla?
That was a giant ape.
Giant ape.
It was a giant ape.
Ape is CR 1/2.
So no, you cannot have gorilla
Edge.
if you're a ranger,
Sag.
because I believe a quarter is the cutoff.
And return to monk.
That's so that's.
Yeah.
It really does piss me off how shitty that feels.
Yeah.
Just.
Is it a quarter? Let me double check.
I think at some point it does. Like if the higher your level, I think it does go up a bit.
No, it does not.
Does it not?
Does not move.
That's insane.
It also can only be size medium. So you can't have a horse, for example.
Wow.
Yeah.
But guys, at level 15, if you cast haste on yourself, they also get haste.
Hell yeah, brother, let's go.
I don't think Ranger gets haste.
No.
All around me are familiar faces.
Yeah.
That's a cool ability, but what spells does Ranger have that do it?
How much?
Question mark.
Yeah, healing. They have some healing.
Yeah. How about them
They
Yankees
have
though?
Hunter's Mark.
Yeah, they apply Hunter's Mark to themselves.
To the pet? Yeah.
Look, that bro. Look, I'm really stretching here. I love Ranger, but they
thematically, I agree. I love Ranger.
Oh, what about Stone Skin?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can cast Stone Skin on yourself and your pet.
Why would I ever do that?
Because you want to waste 100 gold.
Oh,
200 technically.
Sorry.
Oh wait, actually, no. Hold on. The Ranger doesn't get Stone Skin for. Never mind. Ignore me.
screams.
Wow.
Never mind. The Ranger can't do shit.
Wow. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for bringing us to this conclusion.
Rude.
You're welcome. Here's my TED Talk. Here's my check in the mail.
Hold on. Let me look at some Ranger spells real quick.
Oh yeah, can I tell you guys some funny stories from my
Yeah, sure.
No.
from the Drake campaign?
No.
No, all right. Well, I'm gonna do it anyways. Like my this is like just like a couple of shenanigans I wrote just to like remember like some of the nonsense you can like. This is all stuff you could do with your pets as well. Like players out there.
Wounds, jump, long strider.
Hey,
Speak with animals. I
Yeah,
guess.
no, so you can speak with your pet, and then your pet can speak with you because you're both
Bark
animals.
skin. Beast sense, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you guys ever had like a goofy
vision.
moment with a pet? Like my players.
That's without a trace.
Like they fought a mind flayer one time, and the Drake ended up getting the last hit on the mind flayer, and I flavored it as it like ripped its head off
Protection
and then ate
from
the
energy.
head whole. And so my players and I joked, they're like, "Well, Matt, he ate a mind flare head. He did like the mind flares are like the smartest things out there. Surely it's got to like help make the Drake more intelligent." And I'm like, you know what? That's a good idea.
The Drake
and I
pulls
gave
out a
him a
monocle.
+1. Yeah, I
Nice.
gave him +1 to his int, so he went from a 4 to a 5.
Oh yeah. Fucking genius. He's as smart as
Biggest
a
brain.
mastiff.
Hell yeah! I
baby.
gave him glasses and everything for a session.
Hold on, wait. How smart is a mastiff in D&D?
Not very.
A mastiff is an intelligence of 3. So actually, he's smarter than a mastiff.
Holy shit! I didn't think it was that low.
Yeah. I feel like I have some beef with that, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I think the only funny moment I ever had with any of my animals, like my base form familiars, was I had a raven in my first ever game, the one that lasted several years, named Dust.
Nice.
And crows have mimicry, so I would just have it I would just have it go to like other players' rooms or just like follow them around and just start mimicking what they were saying to fuck with people. So if somebody was like, fuck, they would just hear, alright? Fuck. It's like, what the fuck? Wait, where'd it go? Where was that? Fucking Dust up in the corner. Just flies away. To fuck with somebody else. I also, Dust was a pecker. He would just peck people.
Oh.
So I just you would just sit on Brett's character's head at times and just peck him on the fucking head. And he's like, please.
You take 1 point of damage. What?
Yeah. It would just against his fucking head constantly.
Jesus.
I must say, bold of you to have a raven in your game and not name it Hugin or Moonin.
I named it Dust after Darksiders 2.
Ah, yeah.
But I do love Hugin and Munin.
Yes, the asshole birds.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I don't know. I can't really say that those are the only funny stories. We've had a million good stories with Adamisk.
It's true.
Him challenging Tanya to a murder off, threatening Melon for threatening Tanya. Having Tanya as a cat has just been some of my favorite shit.
Yeah, I don't know why. I literally just randomly decided, for context, Matt and listening, I just gave my players a cat one session for funsies. Just like a stray cat, just like wandered into their house, and she just kind of hangs around now. Yep. I don't know what possessed me to do this, but it's a thing, and she's just kind of around. I don't know. She probably kills mice or something for him.
Sure. They feed her eats whatever.
Yeah.
Nah, she eats the mice.
Yeah, Django has threatened mortal violence against anyone who has tried fucking with that cat.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that Office meme where it's like, I've only known this thing for 2 minutes, but I love it, and I will kill anyone.
I'll kill everyone in this room, including myself.
That's not The Office?
That's not The Office.
It's not The Office.
That's Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
Oh.
Django is very much like Trevor Belmont when Cypher's like, you broke a man's leg in 2 places because he kicked a cat. And he's like, what'd that cat ever do? Who does that? Who kicks cats? What fucking psychopath? That's Django.
Yeah, it's my player's house in my game has become a fucking zoo because they have a cat, a gazer, an old man who's a manager, 2 jackal wares, and a lizard folk.
About the old man.
Yeah, Atticus, and a lizard folk who is their chef.
Don't forget the tiny robot and the talking bag.
Oh yeah, and the talking bag of holding and the tiny robot. But the talking bag and holding and the tiny robot come with the players on adventures, so they're not always home.
Yeah. You're about as home as often as we are.
Yeah.
Like a dad who goes out for cigarettes a little too often,
Just a little too often.
Oh no.
So that's an interesting zoo my players have accrued.
Yeah. We have a lot of
the idea of a lizard folk as a head chef at a pizzeria is
very funny.
Entertained me endlessly.
Yeah.
Have you seen the art for Ghost of Saltmarsh with the lizard folk chef?
No.
Has his own stat blocks and everything.
Matt, I'm gonna need you to share.
No, but that's good. Anyway, Sam, you have any other bullshit for us?
No, I don't. I think we've had pretty productive discussion. A lot of my questions were answered through talking.
So we forgot to do our beginning shilling.
That's fine. We'll just chill at the end like we usually do.
I do both. Anyway. Okay, yeah. My brain is empty, so yeah, that works for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, this has been the Sessions Canceled podcast. If you liked what you heard, follow us on the Twitter sphere. If it's around,
it is so far.
Your favorite podcast platform, hit the old subscribe button,
or your second favorite, or maybe
bell.
Your third favorite. Really,
or all of them.
In fact, if
honestly,
you just want to hit a follow on all of them, that'd be cool too.
Yeah. And if you have like a rating system or something, hit that 5-star. Just do it. Just do that for me. Like an early Christmas present.
Yeah.
It'll be
'tis the season.
5 days early when
Something
this episode
like that,
goes out. Yeah. So like a little early Christmas present for me. Unless you hate me, then I get it.
Rude.
Give me a 4-star.
Rude
then.
if you do.
Yeah. That's been us.
Bye.